Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit. Today I'm making America's favorite processed and canned meat, Spam. Spam was created during the Great Depression in 1937. It was canned meat that did not require refrigeration and was a cheap meat alternative for hungry, desperate people during the Depression. Spam also fed the hungry Allied troops throughout their World War II victory. Even though the Great Depression and World War II are long over, Spam is still very popular and, depending on who you ask, very delicious. Do you know what Spam stands for? Spiced ham, hence the name Spam. So let's get this party started and make some homemade Spam, or is it spiced ham, but not in a can? Yes, I am. A Dr. Seuss fan I am. Contrary to what people think is in Spam, it only contains 2 cuts of meat, pork shoulder and ham. So here I have a bone-in Boston butt, which is the upper portion of the pork shoulder. I'm going to cut it into steaks until I reach the bone, and then once I get to the bone, I'll just cut around the bone. If you don't want to do this much cutting and save time, you can just buy a couple packs of pork shoulder country-style ribs. Now don't throw this bone away. Save it and smoke it, and use it to flavor beans, collards, or whatever you want. Now simply cube up all the meat like you would for stew. If you'd like a printable copy of this recipe with a full list of ingredients and easy-to-follow directions, visit thewolfpit.com. Once all the shoulder meat is cubed up, move on to the ham and do the same thing. And by the way, don't trim any of the excess fat off the shoulder or the ham. You want every bit of that pork fat in the Spam. Once all the pork is cubed up, spread it out evenly onto a baking pan and place it into the freezer for 45 minutes. While the pork is chilling and firming up in the freezer, let's make a seasoned slurry. In a large bowl, combine Tender Quick, and Tender Quick is a fast cure mix that will cure the meat and give the Spam its distinctive pink color, along with sugar, salt, and I'm using cornstarch as a binder. Even though Hormel uses potato starch as a binder, they'll both work the same. And finally, ice cold water. Now give it a good mix until everything's dissolved. Now after the meat's been in the freezer for 45 minutes, it's ready to grind. Let's grind the ham first. And then the pork shoulder. Then once all the meat is ground, add the slurry. Then with your best mixing utensil you have in the kitchen, your hands, give it all a good mix. And if you're one of those people that's going to make an idiotic, asinine comment about me touching raw meat with my hands, go eat a piece of tofu. Now here's what it should look like when it's all thoroughly mixed. Now spread out and pack down the mixture firmly into a bread pan. Now place the smaller pans into a bigger pan and fill the bigger pan up with cold water 3/4 of the way up. Then individually double wrap the smaller pans with aluminum foil. Then place everything into a preheated 250-degree oven for 3 to 3.5 hours or until it reaches an internal temperature of 155 degrees. After 3.5 hours at 250 degrees, here's what it'll look like. But it's not ready to eat yet. Now rewrap it again with a double layer of aluminum foil. And then place something heavy and flat on top to press the meat down. I'm just using a brick. Then let the meat thoroughly cool down and then place into the refrigerator overnight. Now here's the Spam the following day after sitting in the fridge for approximately 16 hours with the brick on top. Now run a butter knife along the edges to loosen everything up so it pops right out. Now here comes the much anticipated Spam loaf. And the very first thing I noticed when it came out of the loaf pan was that beautiful natural clear gelatin on the outside. I haven't seen that beautiful and delicious gelatin in Spam or Vienna sausages in years. That leads me to believe that the pork they're using in canned meats like Spam and Vienna sausages is leaner today than it was 30-40 years ago. Either the pork they're using nowadays is leaner or they're not adding as much fat. Because when I was a kid and you opened up a can of Spam or Vienna sausages, there was quite a bit of the gelatin in there, which was my favorite part. Now Duke says, "Let's roll this beautiful Spam footage." Sorry guys, you're gonna have to pardon Duke. He's getting old and confused. Now slice the Spam as thick or as thin as you like. And the gelatin is making the Spam a little slippery and it's sliding all over the cutting board. And normally when you slice Spam it's at room temperature and really easy to cut. But this Spam, it's still ice cold, which makes it just a little bit harder to cut. Now let's cut a couple pieces and give it a try. To me, it looks, smells, feels, and tastes just like Spam out of the can. Dare I say it might be just a little bit better than canned Spam? I don't know. You'll have to try it and judge for yourself. Now, you really didn't think I was going to do this video without frying a few pieces of Spam, did you? That's the ultimate test. I'm just going to place a few pieces in a dry skillet over medium heat for about 2 to 3 minutes per side. Well, it certainly smells like fried Spam. It's also getting that nice crispy crust like Spam. And believe it or not, it even tasted like fried Spam. This homemade Spam turned out 1,000 times better than I expected it to, especially on the first try. It could not have turned out any better. But don't take my word for it. Make it yourself, give it a try, and judge for yourself. As always, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you give this a try. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.